Hey everyone, welcome. Today's class we will be using 2 blocks, and I always just have a blanket because I like to have a blanket for Shavasana. So feel free to grab all these props if you have them, and if you don't, that's okay too. I will instruct without the blocks in case you don't have any at home. But you can always use like a really thick book as well. So let's go ahead and get started, lying down on our backs. And I prefer starting in a constructive rest pose. So that just means as you lie down, bend your knees, let your feet go to the outer edges of your mat, and then let your knees rest together. And just let your hands rest where they land. And if you'd prefer to have your legs straightened, you can always do that too. No biggie. Just find a comfortable place where you feel connected and able to find some sort of stillness. And as we arrive here, just doing your best to release all distractions. So if maybe you have a phone, if you're able to put it away, closing yourself into a room that might be a little bit more quiet. And if you don't have access to those kind of things, that's okay too. I totally recognize the privilege of it. So doing your best to step away from whatever it is you were just doing and whatever it is you have going on after this, and letting these next 45 minutes or so just really be for yourself. So let's take a slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out. One more time. Take a breath in and allow everything to expand in the torso. Front body, side body, back body. And exhale out through the mouth. Sensing everything contract back in through center. And now keep your breath moving like that, big and deep and slow, but keep the breath in and out through your nose. When we breathe in and out through the nose, we signal to the nervous system that we are safe and that we can stay in our window of tolerance. So maybe connecting to your ujjayi breath, that victorious sound, feeling the breath constricting at the back of the throat. And doing your best to stay with the breath throughout class. So from here, start to let your arms open into cactus arms. So elbows are bent, back of the palms are flat on the ground, nail beds are touching the ground. Keep your feet wide, but separate the knees. And then drop the knees over to the right so that you're getting external rotation in the right outer glute, and you're getting, or in the right hip, and then you're getting internal rotation of your left hip. Tuck your tailbone slightly underneath you and drop the inside of that left knee towards the ground and the outside of the right knee towards the ground. And take one big breath in. As you exhale, you can turn your head to the left. And then inhale everything back through center. Arms can stay where they are though. And then drop the knees over to the left, repeating all of that. Maybe looking to your right, tucking the tailbone a little bit, feeling a stretch through the front of the right quad. And do that 2 more times each side. So 1 more time each side. Just woke up not too long ago, so I haven't had my coffee. So if the words are a little scrambled today, that's probably why. All right, come back through center. And then find your blocks. You're going to take 1 block in between your legs on the longer position. And then bring your legs up into a tabletop position. So You can try to bring your ankles together. So if you don't have a block, make sure your thighs are touching. So the block is here to have you squeezing the inner thighs together. And then for the block, the other block, your palms will touch and the forearms will wrap around the block. So my fingertips are kind of hovering above the block. And if you don't have a block, just pretend it's not there. Bring palms together and elbows together. So your forearms are wrapping around that second block, and then bring your elbows kind of above the shoulders. And then tuck your tailbone a little bit. And you'll probably feel your core. You might even feel something in your pecs. So we're getting some abduction here on the shoulders. So take a big breath in. Full breath out. And then can you move your feet, just your feet, a little bit further forward without letting the low back arch. So keeping the low back flat on the ground. Keep tucking the tailbone underneath you. Maybe the feet move further forward. Maybe your fingertips reach further back. Take a big breath in. Exhale out the mouth. I know I said we'd keep our breath in and out through the nose the rest of class, but for here, while we're working the core, we're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth like you're blowing out a candle. Soften your face, soften your neck. One more breath here. Inhale. Oh, exhale, let it all go. I'm going to keep the block in between my inner thighs and just let the knees rest together, let the feet go wide. And let your arms relax down by your sides, or if you want, you can open the arms wide. And breathe. So in many ways, that pose was just similar to eagle pose. A lot of the same actions happening, where we're bringing everything into center and squeezing everything through the midline. All right, now keep your feet about hip-width distance. Bring your arms down by your sides. Keep the block in between the inner thighs. Tuck your tailbone and lift your hips up off the ground. And so same thing, if there's no block, that's fine. Feet are hip-width distance. Lift the hips. And then tuck your tailbone. So no back bending here. So you're not lifting the chest like so. You're probably not even lifting your hips too high. And then imagine that you could drag your heels back towards you so that you feel something in your hamstrings light up. And then lift the hips and just little baby pulses here. Try to take like 10 pulses. So while you're lifting, you're tucking the tailbone, okay? And you're imagining that you're dragging your heels back towards your fingertips without actually moving your feet. You're just imagining that you're dragging the feet back and squeezing the glutes as you lift the hips up. So as you can see, my hips don't lift very high. So this is really targeting the hamstrings, and the hamstrings are connected to the low back and our core. So last 3, 2, and then 1. Lower that down, let it go. Let the block go. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Maybe roll out your ankles a couple of times. And let your knees separate kind of wide apart. You can move your hands down closer towards the shins. So kind of coming into somewhat of a happy baby position. Okay, without the blocks now, keep the legs lifted over your tabletop your legs, knees stacked over your hips. Reach your hands up towards the sky. Take a breath in here. Tuck your tailbone as you exhale. Extend your left foot forward and your right arm back. We're just going to take some alternating dead bugs, but we're not going to do much. So hold right here. Take another breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. You might feel some shaking. Take another breath in through your nose. Try to reach your left fingertips higher towards the ceiling. Keep the tailbone tucked. Breathe out through your mouth. One more inhale. Exhale back through center. Take a breath in to reset. And as you exhale, the right leg extends forward. Remember, you can keep a bend in the knee, and the left arm extends back behind you. Right fingertips are trying to touch the sky. Keep no curve in the low back, so flatten through the low back. Tuck the tailbone. Take a deep breath in. Feel your ribs expand. Exhale out through the mouth. 2 more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Breathe in. Exhale. Inhale back through center. Hug the knees to chest. Plant your feet really quickly before we lose momentum. Arms down by your sides. Lift your hips. Squeeze through the glutes. No block this time. And then hover your left heel off of the ground. Just the left heel. Hips are lifted. Tuck through the tailbone. Now imagine dragging your right heel back. And then lower your hips down and lift. Just 5 here. So 4. Really target that right butt cheek. 2. And then 1. Stay lifted. Lower the left heel down. Hover the right heel off the ground. So almost no weight in the right foot. Focus on the left glute now. Tuck your tailbone again. Drag the left heel back. Lower the hip and lift. 5, 4, 3. Try to get as light as you can in the right toes. Last one. Hold it. Stay lifted. Lower the right heel down. And then just pulse for 5. Keep the tailbone tucked. Drag the heels back. Last 2. And then 1. Let it all go. Soles of the feet together. Knees open. Take your hands into like some little fists. And just push down through the hips. You might even just take your hands and kind of massage the tops of your thighs. And then rock and roll yourself, or actually take legs up the wall pose just for a moment. Reach your legs up towards the sky. It might feel really nice after all that hamstring stuff. I know it does for me. Okay, and then when you're ready, find your way, tabletop, coming onto your hands and your knees. And take a breath in for cow pose. Breathe in. And exhale for cat pose. Breathe out. So extension and flexion of the spine. Breathe in, cow. Here's your extension or back bend. Breathe out, cat pose. Flex the spine. Do that one more time. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. And then stay in your cat pose. So stay in a rounded spine. And then start to walk your left hand towards the top right corner of your mat. And then start to lower your right forearm to the ground as you move your hips back, getting a nice big stretch through the left side ribs. Breathing here. In and out through the nose. Start to release, come back into a tabletop pose and find one cow pose. Breathe in. And then cat pose, round your spine. Stay in this rounded spine. Walk your right hand to the top left corner. Lower the left forearm down. And let your hips reach back towards the heels. And breathe. Imagine breathing deeply into that right side body. And then release, come back to tabletop. Inhale for cow. And then tuck your toes, lift your hips back and up for downward facing dog. Take a moment here in down dog. Maybe you pedal your legs. I like to lift one heel and press the opposite heel down, getting into my calves. And then lift both heels high and bend your knees, gaze forward, and take as many little baby steps as you need to find a forward fold at the top of your mat. Separate your feet about hip width distance once you get there. Let your head dangle. Bend your knees as much as you need. You might take your hands to opposite elbows and sway the upper body. Just take a moment here for yourself. One more round of breath. And then reach your fingertips towards the earth. Tuck your tailbone again. So think rounded spine. So you might have to bend your knees even more. And then roll yourself all the way up into standing. And as you come into standing, reach your palms overhead or anywhere that feels right for you. Maybe it's out in front of you, but you can reach your arms up. And then as you exhale, cactus the arms. So bend your elbows, but bend your knees a little. And then tuck your tailbone underneath you. And then start to try to move your hands back behind you so that the elbows are further forward than the hands. And then try not to go into a back bend while you're doing this. So that's why we're bending the knees, tucking the tail, and then from here, lift the chest, maybe lift the chin. And then start to take the elbows towards one another, hands to the low back. You can straighten the legs or keep lifting the chest. One more breath in. And then exhale, forward fold. Just come all the way back down. Halfway lift, inhale. Step the left foot all the way back. Drop the left knee down. Rise for Anjaneyasana. Arms reach overhead or hands can be at heart center, whatever feels comfortable for you. Once again, try to tuck through that tailbone. In fact, lift the left toes or lift the left foot off the ground and then press it down to the ground. So it's like actively pressing down. And then hold right here. Take one more breath. And as you exhale, hands release. Step back into a high plank, or you can keep your knees down plank or high plank. Hold. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Squeeze your heels towards one another. Hold here. Take one more breath. As you exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. And then press down through the pubic bone. Press down through the tops of your feet. Squeeze glutes and heels together. Your palms are beside your rib cage. Take a big breath in through your nose. Exhale out through the mouth. And try to round your spine like a cat spine while on your belly. And then as you breathe in, lift your heart. And then hover your hands off the ground. And then press back, child's pose. Hips to heels, arms out long. Take a breath in. Exhale. Walk the hands in so that they come to your knees. Lift the heart. Find a little extension of the spine. Seated cow. Exhale, seated cat. Round your spine. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands forward. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Step your right foot through. Drop the left knee down. Anjaneyasana. Hands reach up high. Take one round of breath in. Hands to the ground. Forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Mountain pose, hands reach up to the sky. Squeeze your glutes as you reach up and stand tall. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, lift just the heart, pull the fingertips back. Hands come to the low back. One more breath in. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Halfway lift, inhale. Step the left foot back, drop the right knee down. Anjaneyasana, hands reach up or hands at heart center. If it's helpful, lift the top of the right foot and then press it down to the ground. Think about tucking the tailbone underneath you. Reaching up, breathe in. Exhale, hands release. Find high plank pose or supported plank pose and hold. Breathe in. As you exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. You can always drop the knees. And then take one breath in. Stay here. Pubic bone presses down. Squeeze your glutes and heels. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, child's pose. One breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Walk the hands in. Hands can stay on the knees or go behind you as you find a little back bend. Breathe in. Exhale, hands return to the knees around the spine. Downward facing dog, walk the hands forward, tuck the toes, lift your hips up high. Step your left foot through this time, drop the right knee down, Anjaneyasana, breathe in, rise tall. Hands release to frame the front foot, tuck your back toes, forward fold, step the right foot forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Take a block, put it right next to your right foot, like so that it's on the flattest setting and it's right beside your right foot. And then leave it there and find chair pose. So bend your knees, sit your hips back and down, arms reach forward and up. And then from here, take your palms together and your elbows together like we did at the beginning of class with the block, but we're doing it without a block. Okay, so we're in chair pose, arms are like this. Keep your right foot where it is, lift your left leg, and then step the ball of the left toes onto that block. So now you're in a modified variation of eagle pose. Now squeeze your inner thighs together. Feel the low belly draw in, and then press your forearms into one another. From here, keep your upper body like it is, your arms. You're going to extend the left leg back behind you. So you're in a variation of airplane. And then you're going to come back into that position and bring the left toes to the block and sit the hips low. Take a breath in. Exhale, do it again. Left leg goes back. Arms are parallel to the ground, so this is like airplane. Inhale up. Exhale, step the left toes down. Do that again. Inhale up. Exhale, fly the left leg back behind you. And then let your arms reach back behind you. And then step back, high crescent lunge. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, spin the back heel down and reverse your triangle. So straighten through the front leg, reach the right arm up and back. And then find side angle pose, bend the front knee, right arm comes down, left arm reaches up. And think about the right rib cage rotating towards the ceiling. Take a breath here, breath out. One more time, flow through that. Reverse your triangle as you inhale. Exhale, side angle. And then this time, high pyramid pose. Now your feet are parallel to each other. Arms reach up high. And then drop the left arm down the left leg and reach your right arm back. So your feet are parallel to one another. Do that on the other side. So inhale through center, exhale. Left arm reaches over to the right. And then come on back up through center. Hands to heart center, turn your heels in and your toes out and bend into the knees. And then can you bring the elbows, forearms together, lift them so they're just kind of right in front of your face. Lift the toes, settle in, little bit of a tuck tail here. Take a breath in, breath out. And then lift up, straighten the legs, hands to your hips, bend your knees a little, forward fold, wide-legged fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Low lunge to the front of your mat. Both hands find your blocks or they're framing that front foot. And then step the back foot in a little so it's a little shorter as you straighten the front leg and press the back heel down. Option here to lift your right toes off the ground. So you're on the heel of the right foot and imagine that you could swing that right leg high into the sky. That's how much you're dragging it back. Take another breath in. As you exhale, bend the front knee, step the left foot back a little so you're in a lunge. Bend the back knee to a hover, gaze forward for cow lunge. And exhale, cat lunge. And then just bend the front knee. You can move the blocks if you'd like. and find a high plank pose. From high plank, your choice, you can lower all the way down to the ground. You can lower halfway down. Find a upward facing if that's calling you. We'll meet in a child's pose. Take one breath in, one breath out. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, gaze forward, lightly step or hop to the front of your mat. And then this time find a block, place it right beside the left foot. Chair pose, bend your knees, sit your hips down and back, take a breath in. As you exhale, bring the hands to heart center. And then can you bring the elbows together to touch and forearms touch? And then lift the right leg and bring the right toes onto that block beside the left foot. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Take another breath here. I'm sure you're breathing. This is hard. Okay, and we're going to swing that right leg back while pressing the forearms together to keep the core locked and engaged. Right leg flies back. Inhale it up, back down, touch down to the block. Let it go back behind you. And then one more time, rise up back into that eagle variation and then back into airplane. And this time, feel free to let the arms fly back. Come onto the ball of the back foot, rise up high crescent. Take a moment here as you inhale. And then open up, warrior two into reverse triangle. So straighten through your left leg. Really keep that front quad engaged when you are in a triangle pose. So think of a little micro bend in the front knee and engage the quadricep. And then side angle pose, bend your left knee so the left knee is stacked over the left ankle. Left elbow can be on the left thigh or on the inside. Right arm reaches up. And think about rotating the left rib cage towards the ceiling. And then tuck your tailbone a little bit here so that you're not in some big back bend. And if that means you have to lift the torso up a little bit further from the left leg, then that's totally fine. Okay, find your flow. Inhale, reverse triangle. In, breathe in. Exhale, side angle. One more time. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, side angle. High pyramid pose. Arms go wide, feet are parallel. Take a breath in. Right arm down the right leg. Reach the left arm to the back. Inhale up through center, switch sides. Left arm comes down the left leg. Right arm reaches forward. Inhale, come back up. Hands through heart center, heels in, toes out. Bend your knees, sit your hips down. Bring the palms together. Bring the elbows together. Take a breath in, rise up a little bit. And as you exhale, sit lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, sit lower. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Inhale all the way up, high pyramid. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Low lunge to the front of your mat. Inhale, straighten or step the back foot in a little bit so that you straighten your left leg. Your hands can be on blocks here. And then start to lift the left toes as you press the right heel down. Big hamstring effort here. So you might imagine that you're dragging that left heel all the way into a three-legged dog. One more breath in. As you exhale, release left foot down, step the right foot toes, step the right toes back. Cow lunge, bend the knees, gaze forward. One round, cat lunge, straighten both legs. You can round your spine here. And then bend the front knee. You can move the blocks aside if you're using them and find high plank. Feel free to lower to the chest, lower halfway. Find your back bend. Child's pose. Take a beat in child's pose here. Nice full breath in. Exhale, let it go. Okay, last little flow here. So make sure your blocks are at the front of your mat. Rise into a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg back and up, three-legged dog. Right, feel that action. Imagine that you were in pyramid with the right toes lifted and you could swing that right heel back. There's a lot of engagement in the glute here. Step your right foot through. Hands by the tallest settings of your block. Straighten your front leg. Lift up for a halfway lift. Breathe in. As you exhale, you can fold over that front leg. Maybe press the back heel down. Spin the back heel down. You can move the blocks aside. Reverse your triangle. Reach up and back. Side angle pose. Bend the front knee. Reach up. High pyramid pose. Feet parallel. Arms reach up. Exhale, goddess pose now. Arms open wide. Heels and toes out. And then from here, sweep your right elbow under your left. Hands can go to opposite shoulders, or you can take a full eagle wrap. Take a breath in, rise a little bit out of this lunge or squat, and then sink lower as you draw your elbows in towards your navel, round your spine. Keep the legs, just lift the chest, breathe in. Exhale to round. Inhale, come back up. From here, pivot to the front of your mat. Keep your arms the way they are. High crescent lunge. Take a breath in, lift up. As you exhale, lean the torso. Fly the left leg, airplane pose. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale. Rise into a standing knee raise and find full eagle pose. Now, wrap the left leg over the right. You might bring your left toes down to a block or all the way to the ground. Maybe you're wrapping it around your left leg. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. But what you really want to focus on is squeezing your inner thighs here, squeezing the forearms, and then maybe bending into the right knee. One more breath. Let all of that go. Arms reach up, mountain pose. Exhale, let your arms release down by your sides. Shake your right leg out. Shake your legs out. Maybe move your hips in a little circle. And then when you're ready, inhale, circle, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, step back into a down dog. Finding down dog, stay here for a moment. And then lift your left leg when you're ready for three-legged dog. You might bend your right knee a little bit, press firmly into your hands, lift the left heel like you're really using the glute to lift it up, like you could pulse that leg up there. And then big step through. Find your blocks. Straighten through the front leg. Fold over that front leg. One more breath here. And out. Find a halfway lift with the chest. Bend the front knee. Spin the back heel down. Maybe move the blocks aside. Reverse your triangle. So as you lift the left arm up and back, start to straighten through that left leg. Side angle pose is your exhale. High pyramid pose. Rise all the way up. Exhale, goddess pose. Heels in, toes out. Arms open. Left arm under the right. So left elbow crosses under the right. Hands to shoulders or full eagle. Inhale, rise a little bit out of your goddess legs. As you exhale, sink lower and round your spine as you draw the elbows in towards the navel. Keep the legs, rise up, breathe in. One more time, exhale. Elbow to navel. And then come back up. And then pivot to face the front of your mat. So you're in a high crescent lunge. Squeeze through your back glute. Maybe you lift up, breathe in. As you exhale, lean the torso, shift the weight into your left foot, find airplane with your eagle arms. You know, you can always bring your right toes down to the ground to situate your balance, and then lift the right leg. Find standing knee raise. Find full eagle. So wrapping the right leg on top of the left. Think about squeezing inner thighs, pressing forearms into forearms, forearm into forearm. Core strong and engaged. Imagine what we did on our back at the very beginning. Feet can move forward, arms reach up. One more breath here. Like you're imagining that your feet were moving forward, so they're really pressing into the earth. Okay, let that go. Arms can reach up, big breath in. Exhale, cactus the arms, take a big back bend. Maybe hands to the low back. You can shake out your legs. Maybe interlace your fingers at the low back. Start to straighten through the arms, open up through the chest. And as you exhale, forward fold. Maybe you keep that bind. You can always release it. Halfway, let's breathe in. Exhale, fold. Release the bind. And then walk the feet mat width apart, toes point out, heels in. Find a block, place it right behind your heels on a wide setting. Bend your knees and sit your hips all the way down onto that block. Maybe letting your knees shift from side to side. And then find your way all the way onto your seat, coming onto the ground. And then block, make sure you have a block, lie down. Y'all are probably like, this girl needs some coffee. She can't talk this morning. Okay, we're gonna take a supported bridge. So press down into your feet, lift your hips up, slide the block so that it comes right underneath the low sacrum. And then let your hips settle down onto the block. I like the lowest setting of the block. You might prefer it on a taller setting. I have a sensitive low back, so I have to be really mindful. And you can always keep your knees bent, or you might feel, and if you do this next part, make sure that the block is on the lowest setting. You can straighten out your legs so that your heels are reaching towards the front corners of your mat. So if you are doing that, please make sure that you're on the absolute lowest setting of a block. You can also, if you'd prefer, to draw your knees into your chest and take more of an inversion and reach your feet up towards the ceiling. You can do that as well. I like to take the inversion and eventually come back into supported bridge. It's just a nice way to bring the nervous system back into a place of rest and digest. So if you were in legs up the wall, you might start to bend the knees, plant the feet, and find supported bridge again. And then press down into your feet, lift your hips up, squeeze the glutes, slide the block out from underneath you, lower your hips down to the ground. Cross your right leg over your left and walk your left foot over to the right. And then option here to bring your knees into your chest, and you could take your hands on top of the right shin. You might take your left hand to the right shin and your right hand down to the left ankle, and let your feet widen apart. If this is not happening, that's okay. You can always release the cross of the legs and just bring the knees into the chest. Release. Plant the feet, cross left knee on top of the right. If it's hard to bring the knees into the chest, you could just take a twist, dropping the knees over to the right. So bring the knees to the chest. You might take your right hand to the left ankle and the left hand down to the right ankle. This side's always harder for me. So you might notice that too, that one side's a little bit more of a struggle. That's okay. And then release and let yourself find your way into your final place, Shavasana. I like to bring a block under my calves, so on the longest setting. And then I like to bring a blanket over my toes because this room can get really cold. And so find your way into a comfortable resting place. Now, if you'd rather end your class in a seat, feel free to do that as well. Finding a place of rest, letting all of that class really integrate into your whole system, your body, your nervous system. Give yourself at least this next minute to just chill. Let your breath come back to a natural rhythm. Feel the contact of the ground beneath you, supporting you. And maybe you place one hand over your heart, one hand over your belly, or both hands over the belly, just feeling a connection to yourself. And I invite you to just say a word to yourself. Maybe it's thank you, maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's I love you. How often do you say that? I know for myself, I do not say it enough to myself. But maybe today is the day. I love you. Or you are enough. And I will leave you here, and please stay as long as you want in your Shavasana. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me and for practicing and taking care of yourself. And from my heart to each of yours, I humbly bow. Thank you.